Ever since Nevada, we've seen Latino voters start to break for the Democratic Socialist in the race, Senator Bernie Sanders. He's neck and neck in Texas right now. We're keeping an eye on this, where more than a third of eligible voters are Hispanic. Still too close to call there. Let's bring in Dan Patrick, the Republican Lieutenant Governor of the Lone Star State. Listen, you guys are in the spotlight tonight. Good to have you, Lieutenant Governor.
Yes, always great to be with you, Shannon.
Okay, so a huge rally last night for the former vice president there. He picked up endorsements that were important across the board. Buttigieg, Klobuchar, but also a man who was once running, Beto O'Rourke, former congressman from down there in Texas. This is what the former vice president said to Beto.
This is not last year's seeing this guy. You're going to take care of the gun problem with me. You're going to be the one who leads this effort. I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you. We need you badly.
And if memory serves me, Beto talked about the fact that confiscation would not be necessarily a bad idea.
Yeah, he said he was coming to take our AR-15s. I have one, so I want to invite him to my house first and see how that goes. Beto, you know, Joe Biden says a lot of dopey things. I mean, you have a whole list of them. You know, you play them a lot. But really, the dumbest thing he has said is that he's going to put Beto O'Rourke in charge of getting our guns. I'm telling you, that just added 2 or 3 points to President Trump's victory in November if it's the Biden and Beto show. He will be the anchor around his neck and take him down. And let me tell you something, Shannon, Hispanic voters do not share, the majority of Hispanic voters do not share the values of abortion, of taking guns away, of open borders, of higher taxes, bigger government. Hispanics are going to repel against this. Anglo voters, African-American voters. When you have someone who is as loose at the tongue as Beto O'Rourke is, you own your surrogates. Look, I'm a surrogate for the president. I'm chair of his Texas campaign. What I say reflects not just on me in Texas, but on the president. And so the president has good surrogates. You have them on the air all the time. When Biden surrounds himself with people like Beto O'Rourke, he's taken on a real goofball, quite frankly, a guy who is a real lightweight. He proved it in this race. He had nothing to say, and send him out there to take our guns, and he takes the whole Democrat Party down. So great move, Joe, last night. Great move.
Okay, I want to read something that's a tweet from a young man, Antonio Arellano, who is undocumented. He heads up a Latino civic engagement group, very active there in Texas. He says, super reminder, the most delegates tonight will come from California and Texas. Side note, these states are home to the largest percentage of Latino voters in the country. Latinos will decide this election, hashtag Super Tuesday. You touched on this. It's a critical voting bloc in 2 of the biggest states on the map tonight. How do you think it plays in Texas? Because, you know, Republicans have had a mixed record at best with the Hispanic community when it comes to voting.
Right. Well, not here in Texas. In 2014, Governor Abbott and I run separately. We don't run together. Both of us got about 50% of the Hispanic vote. And we did it because of the policies we talk about, Shannon. We as Republicans are pro-life. Democrats are not. Many Hispanics are. They will stay home and not vote for an anti-God, protection of life Democrat. And that's who the Democrats are. Our policies are for law and order on the border, and the majority of Hispanics support that. I know. I got 50% of the vote of the Hispanics, and so did Greg Abbott when we ran. And as we look at the polling, as we talk to Hispanic voters, if I go into a room, Shannon, of 100 Hispanic voters who have always voted Democrat, and I say I'm pro-life, I'm pro-charter schools, I'm pro-secure borders and law and order, I'm pro-family, I'm pro-small government, for entrepreneurial economic opportunities, smaller government, less taxes. I walk out of that room, Shannon, with 25 or 30 votes. But you send Joe Biden into a room of Hispanics, 100 of them who have always voted Republican, and he says, I'm going to take your guns, I'm going to kill a baby in the womb, I'm going to open up the borders, I'm going to raise your taxes. Joe Biden doesn't walk out of there with one. So we as Republicans have to stand on our values. People vote values, and the Hispanic voters in this country, in Texas, California, and everywhere else, will vote their values. And that's why Donald Trump will win in November. That's why he'll win by more points than he did last time nationally and in Texas. I'll stand with the Hispanic voters on our policy and our issue every day, and we'll win.
Well, both parties have to make their case to this very, very important voting bloc on a critical year like this. So, Lieutenant Governor, good to have you back with us.
Always great to be with you, Shannon. You do a great job.
Thank you, sir. All right, this is a Fox News alert.